Welcome to The Explainer. We're all about breaking down really big, complex topics, and we do it by going straight to the source material.
So you've probably heard this idea before, right? That all religions are just different paths leading up to the same mountain. It's a really popular image. Well, today we're going to dig into that idea by looking at two of the world's biggest faiths, Hinduism and Christianity. And we're basing this all on a text that compares their core beliefs head to head.
All right, first up, the world of Hinduism. We're talking about an ancient path to release. We're going to dive right in and explore the foundational worldview of Hinduism, which its followers actually call Sanatana Dharma, meaning the eternal Dharma.
So the source material we're looking at paints this picture of Hinduism as this just incredibly ancient and diverse system. I mean, think about it. Unlike a lot of other big religions, there's no single founder. The doctrines are super inclusive, so much so that the whole idea of heresy doesn't really exist. But, and this is key, all those different paths are pointing toward one single central goal, finding release from the suffering of life.
Okay, so right at the very heart of this entire worldview is this concept called Brahman. So what is Brahman? It's everything. It's the one singular absolute reality that is the substance of all existence. The source texts literally say, all this is Brahman. It's like the giant cosmic ocean, and everything we see and are, well, it's just a drop in that ocean.
Now, you've got this huge cosmic reality, Brahman. And paired with that, you have this idea of Atman. And Atman is just the self. It's you, your individual soul, your consciousness. It sounds simple, right? But believe me, the connection between these two ideas is where things get really interesting. And here it is, the absolute core formula of Hinduism. Brahman is Atman. That's it. The ultimate cosmic reality and you, your individual self, they aren't just connected. They are one and the same thing. They're totally indistinguishable. So what does that mean? It means that feeling you have right now of being a separate, unique person. Well, from this point of view, that's the grand illusion. Okay, so if our individuality is an illusion, then what in the world is this life we're all living? Good question. The text we're looking at explains the Hindu view of life as samsara. And samsara is this endless and, ultimately painful cycle of reincarnation, of death and rebirth. And what keeps this wheel spinning? It's all driven by the consequences of our actions, or what we know as karma.
So if life is this painful cycle, what's the end game? The ultimate goal is something called moksha. You can think of it as salvation, but a better word is release. The whole point is to finally escape that cycle of samsara. And how do you do it? By achieving that ultimate realization that you are one with Brahman. It's like that drop of water finally dissolving back into the ocean.
All right, let's switch gears completely. Now we're looking at Christianity's counter-narrative, a distinct creator, a single path. You're about to see how this builds a totally different picture of reality. And the source material really frames this as a direct counter-narrative, and it all starts with the nature of God.
And boom! Right away, we hit the first massive difference. With Hinduism, you have pantheism. God, or Brahman, and creation are one and the same. Everything is God. But with Christianity, you have monotheism. There is one creator God who is totally separate and distinct from his creation. You see the difference? The artist is not the painting. The creator is not the creation.
So, what's the core human problem? What's wrong with us? Well, these two worldviews give completely different answers. From the Hindu perspective, our problem is ignorance. We've just forgotten that we are divine, and so we're trapped by karma. But from the Christian perspective, the problem is sin. It's a willful rebellion against a holy God, and for that, we're accountable. So, is it a memory problem or a moral problem? Big difference.
And of course, this leads us to the biggest question of all. What happens when we die? Hinduism says it's reincarnation, a continuous, painful cycle of rebirth, samsara, until you finally achieve moksha. Christianity says, nope, you die once, and after that comes a final judgment that leads to either heaven or hell. So, an endless cycle of do-overs, or one shot followed by a final verdict. You can see how these two ideas just can't both be true at the same time.
Now, all of these massive differences we've been talking about, they all build up and converge on one single decisive point. The analysis we're working from argues this is the ultimate fork in the road, and it's all about Jesus, a great teacher or the only way.
You see this quote here from Mahatma Gandhi, and it really sums up the pluralistic viewpoint perfectly. He says a Hindu should be a better Hindu, a Muslim a better Muslim, a Christian a better Christian. The idea is that all these different faiths are valid, they're all legitimate paths. The goal isn't to jump from one path to another, but to just go deeper on the one you're on. It's a beautifully inclusive idea.
But then you have this, a direct quote from Jesus in the Christian scriptures. I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. And you just can't miss the contrast there. He's not saying he's a way or a truth. He's claiming to be the way, the truth, the life. That's a claim of absolute exclusivity.
And this quote from Mother Teresa really shows you what happens when you take that claim seriously. For her, and for Christians, Jesus isn't just one guru or one teacher on a long list of options. He's everything. My God, my spouse, my life, my only love. He becomes the absolute center, the all-in-all of the entire faith.
So here's the big question. Is there an unbridgeable gulf here? Can these two worldviews somehow both be right? The text we're examining argues, pretty forcefully, that based on the simple logic of contradiction, the answer is no.
Let's break down the core conflict here. Hinduism's model is what you'd call religious pluralism. It's inclusive. All paths are valid ways to the same goal. Christianity's model is religious exclusivity. There's only one true path to God. And here's the logical problem. A system that says all claims are true just falls apart when it meets a claim that says, I am the only one that's true. They can't both be right. One has to give.
And according to the source, this Christian case for exclusivity isn't just some arbitrary rule. It's all rooted in Jesus' own claims about who he was, specifically his claim to be God in a monotheistic world. That was considered blasphemy, and it's what he was put on trial for. And this leads to a completely different idea of salvation. It's not something you can earn through good karma over many lifetimes. Instead, it's taught as a free gift that you get through faith in Christ alone.
So, what does this all mean for that same mountain, different paths idea we started with? Well, this brings us to a really striking conclusion from the source material. The argument is that Hinduism and Christianity aren't just taking different paths up the same mountain. They're actually climbing completely different mountains, aiming for totally different peaks. One destination is absorption into an impersonal, cosmic reality. The other is a personal relationship with a creator God who is separate from you. Two very different goals.
And that leaves us with this final, really provocative question. If two truths directly contradict each other, they're fundamentally opposed, can they both actually be true? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.